On February 3, 1870, something extraordinary happened in American history. The 15th Amendment was ratified, declaring that the right to vote shall not be denied on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. These simple words represented a revolutionary expansion of American democracy, though their full promise would take nearly a century to fulfill. The story of the 15th Amendment begins in the aftermath of the Civil War. America had just fought its bloodiest conflict, a war that ultimately ended slavery through the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment then granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people. But citizenship without the vote was incomplete. It left millions of African American men without a voice in choosing their leaders or shaping their future. The driving force behind the 15th Amendment came from Republican leaders who understood a fundamental truth. Political freedom requires political participation. After the election of Ulysses S. Grant to the presidency in 1868, Republicans recognized that protecting the voting rights of African American men wasn't just morally right, it was essential for preserving the gains of the war and ensuring equal justice under law. Congress proposed the amendment on February 26, 1869. The House of Representatives voted 144-0, with all Republicans in favor and Democrats opposed. The Senate followed with 33 Republicans voting yes, and again, no Democrats supporting it. This wasn't a partisan issue in the modern sense. It was a fundamental question about human dignity and the meaning of American democracy. But passing Congress was only the beginning. The amendment needed ratification by 3/4 of the states, and the outcome was far from certain. At one point, the count stood at only 17 states approving, with 4 rejecting it. Congress took decisive action, requiring Southern states seeking readmission to the Union to ratify both the 14th and 15th Amendments. This wasn't merely political maneuvering, it was ensuring that states rejoining the Union would embrace the principles that the war had established. On February 3, 1870, when the necessary 36th state ratified the amendment, celebrations erupted in African American communities across the nation. President Grant sent a special message to Congress, calling the amendment a measure of grander importance than any other one act since the adoption of the Constitution. These weren't empty words. Grant understood that voting rights were the foundation of all other freedoms. But understanding the 15th Amendment requires confronting a difficult truth. Its promise was systematically undermined for almost a century. The amendment itself was powerful, but it contained no robust enforcement mechanisms. Southern states quickly found ways to circumvent it through poll taxes, literacy tests, grandfather clauses, and intimidation. These tactics didn't explicitly mention race, yet they were specifically designed to prevent African Americans from voting while allowing poor whites to do so. The Supreme Court's narrow interpretation in cases like United States v. Reese in 1876 weakened the amendment further. The court ruled that the 15th Amendment didn't grant the right to vote, it merely prohibited its restriction based on race. This technical distinction opened the door to decades of discrimination, yet the amendment survived and its words remained in the Constitution, waiting for America to fulfill their promise. That fulfillment came through the courage of civil rights activists and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. President Lyndon Johnson, speaking to Congress, explicitly invoked the 15th Amendment when he urged passage of legislation to make it impossible to thwart its protections. He understood that laws without enforcement are merely suggestions. The 15th Amendment teaches us several enduring lessons. First, that constitutional rights require constant vigilance and enforcement. Rights aren't self-executing, they demand active protection and the will to make them real. Second, that expanding freedom is an ongoing project requiring each generation to recommit to America's founding principles. Third, the amendment demonstrates that political participation is essential to human dignity. Congressman James A. Garfield, who later became president, said the amendment confers upon the African race the care of its own destiny. He understood that self-government requires the ability to vote for your own representatives. Most importantly, the 15th Amendment reminds us that America's experiment in self-government is based on the principle that all citizens, regardless of race, have equal standing before the law and equal voice in shaping their government. This wasn't achieved easily or immediately, but the amendment established the constitutional foundation upon which later progress was built. Today, 155 years after its ratification, the 15th Amendment remains a cornerstone of American democracy. It stands as both an achievement and a reminder, an achievement because it brought America closer to its ideals, and a reminder that protecting voting rights requires eternal vigilance. As we reflect on the 15th Amendment, we're called to remember that expanding liberty is not a one-time act, but an ongoing responsibility. Each generation must decide whether to honor these principles or allow them to be undermined. The amendment challenges us to ask, are we doing everything possible to ensure every eligible citizen can exercise their voice in our democracy? The 15th Amendment proves that constitutional amendments can change the course of history. It shows us that when Americans commit to expanding freedom and protecting individual rights, we move closer to fulfilling the promise of our founding, that all people are created equal and endowed with unalienable rights, including the fundamental right to participate in choosing those who govern us.